Bradley, I don't typically like to quote a guest's notes to us before an interview to them, but the first line you put was, "This is likely too little, too late" from Uber and Lyft, but I guess you're surprised to be proven wrong there.
Well, I think it's overall still probably too little, too late in terms of using the shutdown to get the voters to pass Prop 22 and overturn the original law passed last year in California that reclassified all drivers as full-time employees. So yeah, I mean, Uber and Lyft got a stay of execution today. That's good. But ultimately, what they really need is to either find a way to defeat this thing once and for all in California, and then it's going to come up around the rest of the country too, or, Wilfred, as we discussed, I think, a few weeks ago, embrace this model and just use it to really heighten their competitive advantage over each other.
Well, to your point then of trying to defeat it once and for all in California, should they, given that this has clearly worked a little bit, should they say, well, no, we're not even going to continue tomorrow despite this temporary stay of execution because we need this off the table for good? Clearly, I'm being a bit facetious there, but my point is that this move did start to sway public opinion as voters realized, gosh, well, we definitely want the service one way or another, so maybe we have to force the politicians to cave to the company.
Yeah, I think if we weren't in a pandemic, I think the answer would be absolutely, right? Because issues of like worker classification feel very conceptual and obtuse to most people. But then if it turns into I can't get a car and I need to get from here to there, all of a sudden people see it in a very more concrete, tangible way. But, you've seen reports that ridership is down as much as 92%. And so the market of people who want to use Uber and Lyft right now is exponentially smaller than it used to be. And that was kind of the too little, too late point, which is Uber and Lyft really waited, in my view, way too long to get aggressive on this campaign. And had they been willing to take risks like this a year ago when the legislature in California was debating this, they might have been able to defeat the bill and not be in this position at all.
Hey, Bradley, both Uber and Lyft have hundreds of thousands of registered drivers in California. And given the yo-yoing of the headlines today, I mean, what is the risk that some of them just don't show up for any of these rides, that they say, well, I'm just not going to drive this week or next week because I'm not sure whether this company is operating?
Yeah, I mean, look, to a certain extent, that risk always exists because they're independent contractors, at least according to Uber and Lyft, but not according to the state of California, which means, it's up to them when they do work and when they don't work. But at the same time, and look, this is why the movement to turn drivers into full-time employees has had some success, which is it's a really hard job, right? It's one thing if you're a college student and you're driving for Uber or Lyft 10 hours a week to pick up a little bit of extra spending cash. But when this is how you support a family, it's a really tough job, and drivers need to maximize their revenue. And so I think they're so focused on that most of them are, if there's work to be done, they're going to take it.
Bradley, we always talk about Uber and Lyft as a two-player market now in the U.S. in terms of ride-hailing. But to what extent have traditional taxi companies or alternatives caught up with Uber and Lyft in terms of at least having reasonably good smartphone applications such that, let's say, Uber and Lyft did go into hibernation tonight at midnight, that in fact consumers wouldn't really miss the service as much as everyone thinks they would?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, 10 years ago when Uber or Lyft got started and threats like these were made, they were very effective because taxi was, comparatively so far behind. They have improved, but, so I live in New York City. So if you take that as an example, the technology now to be able to get a taxi is a lot better than it used to be and probably would fill the gap if Uber and Lyft had suspended operations in New York. On the flip side, some of the things that people don't like about taxi in terms of customer service, cleanliness of the vehicles, things like that, that hasn't materially changed yet, from what I can tell.
Well, I agree with that. If you're tall, you can't really fit in the back of them as well. You slightly feel like you're being put in the back of a cop car and arrested, though not that I know what that's like. But anyway, we digress. Bradley, thanks so much for joining us. Great discussion as always.